are single use. They're not made to reuse. And as you see, the black stencil powder is actually going into the little cracks that I etched into the plastic with the stencil cutter. You want to make sure to dab off the excess powder so you don't make a mess on the skin. And as now, our acetate stencil is prepared to use. If you look, the black is all in the cracks. Okay, Jim, we're going to get you ready to do your cover-up now. I'm going to clean your skin down. Let me grab some Vaseline here. We're going to prep the skin with this because this is going to hold the black stencil powder that I put on the stencil earlier. You want to be very careful how much you put on. You want to make the skin a little tacky. Okay, Jim, take your hands out of your pockets, please. Very important part of when you do any type of tattooing like this, arm work, make sure that you get your customer to stand up. Because if he's laying down, when you apply a stencil of any kind, it will be in a different position when he stands. This is back to where I had talked earlier about positioning. It makes it easy to position with an acetate stencil. Put it on, press it, catch it from the corner. Now you're prepared to do your tattoo work. Make sure you keep that skin tight at all times. If you notice, I am going back and forth on each side, trying to bring the sides up semi-equally so I'm not coming in contact with any of the stencil as I'm working. I'm going to wash it down. We'll get a look-see. If there's any touch-up work that needs to be done, we'll do it at this time. If you'll notice in this design as I'm working, the design is getting smaller as I'm coming down, and I'm tapering down with the amount of shadow work I'm using from up above to a little less, to a little less, to just a little, to very little. It enables me to work the design much easier and still acquire a nice look. Again, we are working with a 4-needle flat shader and a 7-needle round liner. Okay, now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to kind of split the body just a little bit because I don't want to take this and actually just take it and draw a bunch of black in there. So what I'm actually going to do is like a shadow line here, kind of a shadow line like this to take out that name and give the scorpion a little bit of shape. And then come back over here and I'm going to shadow out coming out this way. I'm going to do it very light. I can always go darker, but I can't go lighter. If you'll notice, I'm shading in more of a rounded motion because I'm trying to give some texture to the design and not just put the black on and put it on flat. It does take longer to put the black in this way, but when the tattoo is finished, it looks a lot better. This is more of a shadowing effect just to show that there would be an image on there and it would actually cast a shadow up on the upper section because the light is coming from the front, casting the shadow off the body onto the skin. Try to give a little bit more realism to the actual design itself. It helps to complement the heavier black too, because when this actually heals, this is the washout black again, which will be very light, and it will be nice because you will have a couple of different contrasts on the actual design versus just the black itself. That's pretty much going to complete our cover-up. As you see, we didn't do a complete black tattoo, which is not necessary to do with cover-up work if you learn to put texture in designs and move black around to give shape. That's where a little bit of the creativity comes in, and you have to visualize what you're going to do before you actually put it on the skin. Different cover-ups require different techniques, but black is your basic cover-up. You don't want to go in and hammer a lot of black in because you see so much of that. But if you can work it into a design and still give it texture, it does help the design a lot in the end. We're going to talk a little bit about sterilization here. There's many different types out there today. There's steam, dry heat, and liquid. That you would have to check with your local health department and your local authorities to make sure that you're doing the right thing and making it safe for your customers. There's also lots of different types of autoclave bags offered. The autoclave bags also come with an autoclave indicator on them, so your health department can check to make sure you're doing the right thing. We're going to go over some different types of machines that are offered on the market today. We're actually going to start off with a Puma tattoo machine. There's many different styles of machines, weights, coil wraps themselves. There are 8 wrap coils out there being offered, 10 wrap coils depending on your personal preference. This machine here is a 14 needle round shader used for your variants of different types of tattooing, some for fill-in and shade work, some for thick line work for different types of designs. A very important part of the machine itself is the rubber bands, because that's going to give you your stabilization in your tube to prevent your needle bar from fluctuating off the bottom down here, which would cause splatter in the machine. You should change these on a regular basis to keep your tension against your bar consistent. Consistency is very important. We're going to go into a regular Supreme machine. An important part on this, again, I bring back from earlier in the video, is the grommets that connect from the bar to the armature bar. No play within. Fluctuation, spray in the machine again. You should change these on a regular basis. Now we're going to come out to the Reaper. This is one of the 2 machines that I referred to earlier in the video, which was probably one of the best tattoo machines put out on the market today. An important part of this machine runs with 10 wrap coils in it, which gives you a little extra punch, which sometimes you do need within a machine. This is a 7 needle liner bar and a 5 needle square tip. This machine here is the Puma machine. This will give you a little bit more variance in certain areas. This can vary on the back connection here, which you can adjust for your clip cord. Also running in 8 wrap coils. All the machines that you see here run with capacitors on them. You can vary on the capacitor themselves. This is a 6-needle flat shader. This is the Wolverine. This goes with the Reaper. An important part with these machines, as is all machines, you never, ever pick up a machine and press on the front springs. If you do that, you will throw the whole adjustment of the machine out, because it's very important to stay consistent on your contact point and your contact screw being the same gap. Okay, this here is a lightweight machine. It's exactly what it says it is. It's a lightweight. It's lighter than a lot of these other machines and feels more comfortable in the hand. Again, it's a personal preference. An important part of the spring setup in the machine is to make sure that you don't get a carbon buildup between your contact point and your contact screw. That you can take and file out with a contact file. A special point file works very well. Now I'm going to show you the Stinger machine, which is primarily used for outlining. Again, it's a very fast machine, puts a very nice outline down. This rubber piece here is primarily there for more support for the spring, so the spring doesn't lose its spring tension quite so quickly, keeps your machine in adjustment a bit longer. Now we're going to talk a little bit about needles and the way you get them from the manufacturers. This here is a single needle liner. It has a protective coating on it, which protects the points of the needle so they don't become damaged. I'm going to pull this off. And if you look, there's one single needle in there. It makes a very fine line. You have to pick your work for this particular type needle as well as any other. It makes a very fine line. This here is a 3-needle outliner. Again, lays a fine line. This is a 4-needle outliner. You will need all different sizes of needles to do the proper jobs during your tattooing procedures. Sometimes you will actually probably set up 3, 4, 5 machines sometimes to do one particular tattoo to acquire a certain style. This here is a 5-needle round liner. The line will get a little bit fatter the more needles that you add into the group. This is a 7-needle round liner. Sometimes can also be used for certain types of shading